The Slap, TV miniseries review. So this is part of what I'm calling my television addiction series, in which I go back and I talk about all the TV shows I watched from 2011 to 2012 when I was living in Cambodia and was watching way too much TV. For more information on exactly why I'm doing this, you can check one of the videos linked in the description down below. But for today, The Slap. So this is the 2011 version, the Australian version. I haven't seen the American version, which came out in 2015. I get the impression that nowadays the American version is the more well-known version. Is that fair to say? When people talk about The Slap, they're talking about the American miniseries version now. It's kind of eclipsed the Australian version in popularity, I think. But I never saw the American version. And I apologize, I don't want to be that guy who's like, well, I'm way more cultured. I saw the original Australian version. If I were actually way more cultured, I would have read the book on which it is based on. But I never read the book. I remember seeing the book. I lived in Melbourne for a year in 2010. And I think I saw the book in the bookstores there, if memory serves. I definitely remember seeing it in the bookstores in Cambodia around 2011. This was either around the time or slightly before the time that the miniseries came out. I saw the book there and kind of flipped through it, and it looked, well, you know, the premise of the book is that a guy slaps an unruly child at a barbecue. An unruly child that is not his child. And then this causes a ripple event through the lives of everybody who was at that barbecue as it kind of cascades from one action to another resulting from this. Sounded mildly intriguing, but I never read it. And then I saw, I think I first heard it was turned into a miniseries based on the AV Club's review of it. Which I'll try and remember to link in the description down below. AV Club only previewed the first 2 episodes. They gave it a rather tepid review. It sounded okay, but nothing great. But then I caught episodes that were just on TV. I think I mentioned in a previous video that the only English-speaking channels I had access to were Star World and AXN. But that's not completely true. There were a handful of channels. It's just that Star World and AXN were the only ones that regularly showed American television. But we also did get ABC. ABC meaning the Australian Broadcasting Corporation, the Australian version of the BBC. Or at least maybe it was the overseas equivalent, or I don't know. But some version of the Australian Broadcasting Corporation was playing on the cable package in Cambodia, and they were running The Slap back in 2011. And I saw a couple episodes where I tuned in halfway through, and it wasn't even the first episode, it was, you know, like episode 4 or something. But what I saw intrigued me. There was a fair amount of drama and conflict going on, and it was quite watchable. And so when I was flipping channels and I happened to stumble across an episode, I did watch it. And then once the DVD set hit the DVD stores in Cambodia, I decided to buy it and give it a watch. The show is set and filmed in Melbourne, Australia. And I lived in Melbourne in 2010, so it was somewhat nostalgic for me. Oh, well, although at the time I saw this, it was only a couple years after I had left Melbourne. But, you know, I had already left it with a sense of I'm probably not ever going to come back here. And it had, not because I hated the place, quite the contrary. It was a wonderful, lovely city. But just the idea that I'm probably not going to have the time or money or reason to come back ever. So looked fondly on my time there, and seeing something that was filmed in Melbourne and took place in Melbourne brought back fond memories for me. Not that I recognized any of the filming locations, but, you know, just the general vibe, just kind of, you know, I don't know, the way the city looked, the way the houses looked, the way the streets looked, you could pick up on the vibe. Plus, it was all about a Greek family. And if you've been to Melbourne, or if you know anything about Melbourne, you know that there is a very sizable Greek immigrant community in Melbourne, which you just see everywhere. I mean, you see it on the names of the shops, you see it on the stores, Greek food, and it's just very visible everywhere that there is a sizable Greek immigrant community in Melbourne. And this is a Greek family that takes place. The story centralizes around a Greek family. Sorry, I'm losing my ability to make sense here. It's been a long week. Anyways, you're probably already familiar with the plot of this miniseries based on maybe the hype that the American version got. By the way, I still haven't seen the American version, so if somebody can leave a comment maybe telling me how was the American version, was it worth seeing? I don't suppose anyone out there has seen both versions and could do a little compare and contrast in the comments. If anyone knows anything, let me know. But the Australian version is they're having a barbecue party for one of the characters' 40th birthday, and there's this kid who's just a little brat and is biting people and breaking the video games and getting into things, digging up the flowers and just generally causing mayhem. Ending with he's got this cricket bat and he's swinging it at the other kids. So one of the other adults goes to sort it out and kind of picks up the kid and shakes him, and then the kid kicks him, and then he slaps the kid. And the kid's parents just go nuts. That's child abuse, how could you? But some of the other people were like, well, that kid had something coming. And so then there's this the police get called in after the fact, so it goes into court, and it turns into this big drama. But it's actually not only about the slap, because there are a number of other things going on. Characters having affairs, characters having midlife crises, characters struggling with their sexual identity, characters in unhappy marriages, or characters aging, or all this kind of stuff that as the fallout from the slap ripples through, all these other crises which were just kind of waiting come to the surface. So plenty of drama. It's almost like a soap opera, although maybe that's a pejorative term. It's definitely a drama, and there is plenty of drama to be had, and it's addictive. You watch one episode and you're like, okay, I've got to find out what happens to these characters. It is though one of those shows that, well, sorry, let me back up again. The premise of the show, which apparently takes its structure from the novel, is there are 8 episodes, and each episode is from the viewpoint of a different character. So you follow the same story, but it's you're getting you're getting insight into another character's life each time. And it is one of those shows that it's completely watchable, but by the time you get to the end of it, you're like, well, I'm not sure I really needed to watch all that. Were all 8 hours necessary? Did I need to know about all 8 of those characters' lives? I suppose you could make the argument that you do, because throughout the course of the series, you find out how each character is in their own way sympathetic. Excuse me. But it is, I'm not quite sure it was worth all 8 hours of it in retrospect, but it entertained me at the time I was watching it. And sometimes that's all you can ask for, isn't it? So yeah, I'll close out here.